Hello and welcome to Bharat Shakti. I'm Brigadier Chatterjee. We'll be talking about the occupation of the Siachen glacier today. In April 1984, the glacier was occupied by Indian forces. The process of occupation is a story of valor, story of courage, story of leadership. It's a story that every military man must go through. To tell us the whole story today, I have with me two people, uh, Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni and Nitin Gokhale. Let me first introduce Nitin Gokhale, and then I think together, since he's from the same family, we can welcome the general. Nitin Gokhale, of course, doesn't require a detailed introduction from me. You all are quite familiar with him. But he's written a book on the subject. Nitin, can you
Yes, in fact,
have the book?
this is the book.
So, and that's really the qualification.
Why I'm here.
Bottom line, why he's here with us today.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nitin. Thanks for joining us. And on
Thanks.
behalf of both of us,
Yes, I
invite
will.
Lieutenant General
I will.
Sanjay Kulkarni and Nitin, you might like to
I
extend the
will
invitation.
introduce him. I will introduce. So, as Brigadier Chatterjee said, thank you for joining us. This book was written exactly a decade ago, and it was released on 12th of April 2014, commemorating 30 years of Siachen's Operation Meghdoot, which started on 13th April 1984. And why this man is here is because he was the first one to rappel down on Belafond or jump onto Belafond, one of the three passes on the Saltoro Ridge, which separates or overlooks Siachen Glacier, really, as a wall between India and Pakistan, if you want to understand it in a very layman's term. And as a young captain, he led the platoon at Belafond. So thank you very much for joining. And this story has been spoken about. We have spoken a number of times, but it's worth recounting on its 40th anniversary of Operation Meghdoot, which began on 13th April 1984. So tell us what happened that day on 12th and 13th of April 1984.
Let me go there a little later.
Okay.
A little later, but before that, I would just like to put everybody on the same page. And if you can, General, explain to us about the geography of this particular the glacier, and of course, what's its strategic importance.
Firstly, thank you very much. I must first thank Brigadier Chatterjee to have made it available, so that we both are here on the in the studio. But thank you very much, Nitin. I first met Nitin in Tawang when we were there, and surprisingly, the two Maharashtrians that we are, one Nitin Gokhale from Guwahati, and Sanjay Kulkarni from Delhi. So, Maharashtrians, they're not Maharashtrians.
Maharashtrians in that sense.
We were
non-resident Maharashtrians.
Absolutely. And you can't imagine. And there, when we met at Tawang, and after that, again, when I was the Chief of Staff, 14 Corps, he decided to write the book Beyond NJ 9842. And I must thank Nitin to have, actually, it is this book that really got everybody to know what is Siachen all about. And not many books had been written earlier, and even if they were a little more into history. But this was something which really touched everyone's heart. And I think, thank you, Nitin, for that.
Pleasure.
And then I saw the involvement of then our Defense Minister, Mr. Parikar, into this book, and how he finally even was involved in the inauguration and the various, the kind of books that he was part of for the release of NJ 9842, be it in Hindi or be it in Marathi. Having said that, now I come to what Brigadier Chatterjee really wants to know. Where is this Siachen Glacier?
Exactly.
Now, that's the most important thing. Now, Siachen Glacier is a 76-kilometer long glacier, about 2 to 5 kilometers wide. And at the snout is about 11,000 odd feet. It goes as high as up to 22,000 feet, and terminates at a place called Indra Kol, and is between the two ranges, the Ladakh range that is onto the western side, which has the Saltoro ridgeline, and the Karakoram range, which is on the eastern side. And between the two ranges is sandwiched this 76-kilometer long glacier. Now, it is very easily identifiable for a simple reason that you have the Ladakh and the Saltoro range a little yellowish brownish in color. So you can see that range. And Karakoram, as the name goes, is black. And that range is distinctly clear, black mountains. So between the two is this glacier. And having said that, how we really got involved into this particular glacier was that even before 1978, that's the first time when Colonel N. Kumar really did this first expedition. And I was a youngster those days doing my mountain warfare basic course, having got commissioned into the army in 77. So my first, after the bios, the first basic course that I went for was the mountain warfare. There, Colonel N. Kumar was the commandant of the high altitude warfare school. Now, since he was the commandant of the high altitude warfare school, he was taking some of these people because he had earlier undergone an expedition, and the Indus expedition, along with two of those German mountaineers that he was familiar with. Subsequently, having done that, they again got in touch with him, and they wanted him to rather do the expedition along the Shok River and the Shok and the Nubra River, so that they could do. But that's where it triggered in the mind of Colonel Kumar, that where they were looking at was not the place that should have been seen by the German mountaineers as being from Pakistan, because he was planning to go to Pakistan. Now, the first initial thing was the Pakistanis were sponsoring expeditions to through Belafond, with the pass that he referred to. That was the pass, central pass, which is about almost 16,000 feet. And all expeditions to Siachen Glacier and beyond the features of Apsara ranges and the Siachen, the Sotoro Kangri are all through the Belafond. So that was the pass which was easier. And in 78, when Colonel N. Kumar had gone there, he did find some kind of, you could say, soda water packets and things of those kind on top of Belafond. So that definitely gave them a feeling that, yes, some expeditions, and primarily they were Japanese expeditions, and some Americans also, some Germans also, they were doing it, led by as liaison officers of the Pakistan Army. So that was been happening earlier. So, and how it happened was that, as his book, Nitin's book, is Beyond NJ 9842. Now that NJ 9842 is the point. That is the last of the Karachi Agreement, where it is there. It's pointed as NJ 9842, and it is thence north along the glacier. So that is where. So that means when you say delimitation, when you say demarcation, all of it is there till NJ 9842. And his book very rightly says beyond. Now that word beyond is a...
Okay. And let's take the story from there. Nitin,
Yes.
you have written extensively about this Colonel Kumar's involvement over
Right.
there, and
Yes.
how he feared that he shouldn't be part of an army expedition.
That's
he should
right.
go with this thing.
So that
if
was
you can tell that story.
very interesting story. In fact, I was lucky to again meet him, like you mentioned. So many of those heroes of that time, those who initiated this entire expedition and then later the operation, are no longer with us. But Colonel Kumar, known as Bull Kumar, because he was built like a bull, apparently in the boxing ring, he used to be very fierce. So when I met him, he told me the story. Like he said, he referred to the German expedition. He was doing this rafting expedition, and the Germans had the maps with them, which were American sourced map or American made maps. And in those maps, the line that they had shown beyond that NJ 9842, which was the last point on the line of control between India and Pakistan, which was reconfirmed in the 1971 agreement when the ceasefire line, which was referred to as ceasefire line in the 1949 agreement of Karachi between India and Pakistan, was converted into line of control. And line of control ended at 9842, NJ 9842. And then the German map, or the Germans, the maps that they were carrying, was showing thence north, instead of thence north going along the ridgeline, which is the cartographic convention, that you go along the what they call the watershed. Instead of going the watershed way, they were going towards Karakoram Pass, which means the entire Siachen Glacier was being shown in Pakistan, or part of Pakistan, in that map. He got alarmed, and he went to the army headquarters and told the then chief that we need to go and actually see what's happening there. And that's how these military expeditions began, which he was part of in 78, then 79, 80, 81. Continuously, these military expeditions were going. They were couched as mountaineering expeditions, and because Colonel Bull Kumar was a well-known mountaineer, nobody suspected that this was a military expedition. No, going for reconnaissance and understanding what was happening. That was the camouflage that was used.
Okay, let's go a little further. I think it will be very interesting for us to hear how was the occupation done. how did you jump from that helicopter?
Yes,
I've heard
and
the
before that,
story.
how they prepared.
How they prepared also.
You would understand more than anybody else. All these expeditions, what we used to call long range patrol, LRP.
Yeah, yeah.
The LRP
Secret missions that
yeah,
time.
they're all extendable to 1 month, 2 months, maximum of 3 months, and we would all fall back. So those kind of expeditions, since Col Kumar went in 1978 for the first time, and we heard about the name Siachen for the first time. I didn't know that there was something like that existing, because nobody really knew about it. Even though in 1963, and Shakti Valley, which is adjoining Siachen Glacier, had been ceded by Pakistan to China, rather gifted to China. So that was there, which is just adjoining it. And like what Nitin spoke about, the NJ 984 joining the Karakoram Pass, which was there as part of the Hudson's Line, which the Americans had done it. But that was with a view to make navigation easier for the pilots, what they call it, the ADIZ. So it is more of an identification zone for the pilots to be able to know which country have they crossed while they're flying. So that was that. But the Pakistanis took full advantage of it and said this is where it is. So 78, then it was in 79, 81. Then I actually got involved into it in 82, 83 and 84. 82 because we was part of the advance party of Pokumau, which had been sent to Turtuk. And Turtuk was one area which we had occupied in 1971. Turtuk and beyond Chalunka. So that had been occupied in 71. And therefore, what Nitin said about the Karachi agreement, it doesn't really talks of a place called Khor. But when it comes to 71, it talks very clearly NJ 9842, and it is very specific. And then north along north to the glacier, and the watershed principle being totally violated. So in 81 and 82. 82, we went there, and I was only part of the logistic missions, going by the helicopters and seeing if the Ladakhis were doing it as part of Ibex hunt. And then we went subsequently in 83 as part of Polar Bear. And that Polar Bear, once the Polar Bear mission was, the LRP was coming back, the Pakistanis came and occupied the Siachen. Not the Siachen Glacier, but they came to Belafond. And when they came to Belafond sometime around August, September of 1983, they couldn't sustain themselves. And since they couldn't sustain themselves, they had to pull back. And when they pulled back, after that, again we reinducted called Op Polar Bear 2. And in that Op Polar Bear 2, we decided to construct some huts to be able to show that all of it was ours, which we went up to a place called the Kumar Logistic Base or Kumar Base. So that
later renamed the Kumar Base.
Later, Kumar Base Camp. Now, this part of it when going on at 1982, 1983. Now, when the Pakistanis had come, their SSG, Musharraf was part of this entire planning, what was going on in their MO branch. And Musharraf was a lieutenant colonel, approved because there was no colonel, full colonel, there was no rank such, they would all become brigadiers, from lieutenant colonel to brigadier. So he was promoted brigadier but hadn't picked up, so was carrying on in the MO branch, and he was aware of what was going on. And at that point of time, Jahan Dat Khan, who was the corps commander of that entire area, for him, this and P. Dat Khan was the area commander over there, the northwest. Now, this, when it was going on, and when this pulled back, the Pakistanis wanted to come again the next year to do it. And they occupied, for which later on, it was revealed by Vikram Sood, who was part of RAW, who went and told the corps commander that the Pakistanis are busy shopping. And all this mountaineering equipment is being picked up from Europe and being picked. And that is where it revealed that. And then Musharraf wrote in his book, In the Line of Fire, that India preempted
and outraced
for the race to Siachen. That means the Pakistanis were all set to occupy, except for the date. The date was initially, Musharraf's book says that he wanted to go in March. But Jahan Dat Khan and Pir Dat Khan said, look, we have suffered, our troops will die. It is better that we go in 1st of May. Now, we didn't know that they were to come on the 1st of May. And it is here in India, when the discussions were taking place, Jal Chibba, Jal Hoon, Brigade Channa, and all of that, that we would do it in Baisakhi. And that Baisakhi happens to be the 13th of April. And he said, why 13th? He said, that's the most auspicious day for India because it's a new year, the beginning of a new year. So we took on 13th April 1984. Had we not gone on the 13th of April 1984, the Pakistanis in any case would have come on the 1st of May and occupied the glacier. So it was this preempting which Musharraf writes in his book. In the
Fortunate, actually.
It was fortunate, and why 13th April, like you said. But when he went on 13th April with his troops, when he jumped down on Belafond, which he's been modest not to say that, he was the first man to
I'll
actually
take him there.
Yeah, you'll take him there.
Make him jump.
But yeah, you will make him jump there. But after that, for 2 days, it was a snow blizzard, which cut off all the communication, which he will tell you.
That is what Nitin says, and he's brought it out very well in his book also. You know, it was okay with us. Now, the 13th was the date decided. Corps Commander, then General Hoon, 15 corps, those days there was no 14, so only 15 was there. General Hoon was responsible for it, and he was also a mountaineer whose association was with the High Altitude Warfare School of Gulmarg. He said that he would buy the equipment because now Vikram Sood, who later retired as the
he became the chief of RNW.
Yeah. So they decided to do. When they went out for shopping to Europe, they found that most of the firms had said that the equipment has already been bought. He said, from who has bought? He said, the Pakistanis have bought. Huh? Where are the Pakistanis planning? Are they going for Mount Everest or are they going to Antarctica? One was between the two. What were they planning to do? So he said, we don't know about anything, but they bought all of it. So when he placed orders, that order of ours took a long time to come. We had expected that this equipment would reach us, say, by end March or this thing. It didn't. It reached us on the 12th of April, 1984 at around 5 o'clock in the evening. And on the 13th of April, 1984, we were to launch at about 5 o'clock in the morning. So that is the only thing that we had. And we had done one aerial reconnaissance. We were not doing any aerial reconnaissance of Siachen Glacier, lest we alert the Pakistanis of any interest being shown over there. So when this thing was going on, and 12th April it came, 13th April, we quickly, whatever came our way and the sets were there, we opened, we all set and we decided to go. And on the 13th in the morning, I was in my first chopper sortie. All these cheetahs were there. And with me was my radio operator called Mandal. And the second chopper was to take Prakash and another boy called Ramesh. Now, both Prakash and Ramesh were with me in 83. So they were familiar with whatever. And we had the sorties were to go to Belafond. So first of these set of choppers that had come, about 8-9 of them which had come, each chopper would to take 2 on board. And then there were 30 who were to occupy Belafond. And the same number were to occupy Siala. So Siala was to be occupied after Belafond had been occupied. Belafond was to be occupied under Major Sandhu, VRC, Fokumau, and Major Bahuguna, later who retired as a brigadier, who's no more now, he was to occupy Siala. And this was where. Now, like what Nitin said, that initially when we went at 5:30 in the morning, and the pilot told me, look, we won't land because we are not very sure of how the surface is, whether it is hard or soft. And when the chopper does tend to land, it has a whiteout condition because the snow is thrown up. And he said, we wouldn't want to take the risk, so you jump. So now, I wasn't ready for a jump because I wasn't told that I had to jump there. I was told we would land over there. So I said, okay, fine. And all these, the two of us, now the operator sitting with his radio set, which was big enough, and he kept it on his this thing, and I was there. And below our seat was a small little Arteka Bori, you know. Now that Arteka Bori was under my seat. I told the pilot, I said, look here, let me just throw this, and that will confirm this hardness of the surface. If the surface is hard,
quick thinking, I would say.
Yeah, I said, I'll jump. Now, he also was, I think, either, I don't know whether it was his last minute or he didn't want to tell me. I really didn't check up because I think it was Wing Commander Sandhu only. Wing Commander Sandhu, who was also a VRC of 71 war. So he was there. They never told me. So I said, just last minute, I said, let's jump, throw this. And if you throw this, you'll know the surface, how hard it is. And from that, I'll know whether it shouldn't so happen that I jump into a crevice and I go down and you have another problem of your hand. So he said, we'll hover a little bit, you throw that thing. So we threw, I found it was hard. I said, no problem. I said, you hover, I'll jump. He said, hover, I'll jump. And the moment I jumped, I was perfectly fine. And I gave him a thumbs up. He said, truck landed. The second one was hovering on top to see as to what is happening with it. And the second one landed. Then the second landed. So first 2 helicopters, and thereafter these waves of helicopters started coming.
But you could manage so much of movement. These helicopters went back and picked up.
It used to take all 40 odd minutes for these helicopters to go back and then load, refuel, because you couldn't take too much of load. Now Those days, I must tell you, the pilots took a lot of risk.
Yes.
We were, at least each one of us, were, if not more than 100 kgs, the two passengers,
Right.
over
Yes,
100 kgs.
with your weapons and
With
Yeah.
weapons, with
Mm.
equipment down below, about 30-40 kgs of rations.
Mm.
So the choppers were taking quite a bit of risk. Well, today, they don't even take one passenger.
That's
They
right.
hardly anything. Not
They
even
take the
50 or-
postal bag.
Yeah, postal bag, 50 or 55 kg.
Right.
bag. So there was a big risk. And having jumped and having occupied that particular, and the waves coming in, Mandal was the
Radio operator.
radio operator.
Mm.
He fell sick within no time. Within no time, he was sick.
High
Only
altitude
radio
sickness.
operator from the
Mm.
signal regiment
Mm.
and sick. And he said, I can't do. He suffered from high altitude pulmonary edema.
Mm.
And moment we evacuated him, like Nitin said, the weather turned bad. Extremely bad. So bad. Blizzardous. Almost winds blowing at 70-80 kilometers an hour. No
Snow all
visibility.
over.
Wind chill factor. We didn't know what had hit us. Literally, we didn't know what had hit us and what happened. And for 2 days, we were cut off. Just cut off. And that is where it is.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we'll go into that a little later, rest of it. Nitin, if you could just say, what was the Pakistani response like, whether politically or
So,
whichever, you've read a lot of it.
I bring it out, but it's all his story. I heard from him and from Brigadier Channa, his boss, who was a sector commander that time. There was no brigade there. It was a sector. And he had planned all this operation. And in fact, against all orders and against all wisdom, he had said it will happen on 13th of April because of Baisakhi, because Pakistanis also celebrate Baisakhi and they will be busy.
Okay.
They will not be coming. So, and then later he was being reprimanded because they were cut off for 2 days. But the Pakistanis realized that these people had come because so many helicopters were coming. Now, because of the snow blizzard and the snowstorm, they couldn't attempt to come up. But after it subsided, according to him, according to Sanjay, they started coming up. In fact, the first attack came, I think, on the 17th of April.
No, the first was 23rd.
23rd of April.
23rd of April.
Yeah, so it took almost 9 or 10 days for them to prepare and come there. So Pakistanis were outraced, outflanked and outmaneuvered in that sense because of the preemptive nature of this operation Meghdoot, and for which he led the first platoon, like I said, to Belafond.
And you lost your
the radio operator. Radio operator.
See, no, the radio operator was okay. He was evacuated. Who we lost was Ramesh. Ramesh, the one who was in the second helicopter, was with me in 1983. He passed away when we were approaching Belafondla. I was called back because for 2 days we were stuck. We couldn't even go to Belafondla. And then I was told, please come back. I said, what happened? He said, Ramesh seems to have died. I said, what happened? He said, there's froth in his mouth and he's not responding. So sure enough, moment they said that froth in his mouth, he said, I told Major Sandhu, I said, we have to send him back to the base camp. But we had orders.
Correct.
5 days of radio silence. That was the orders given. 5 days of radio silence. Now, this was only the 3rd day. And we had already lost a boy. Because of the radio silence, moment we opened the radio and told them that this boy is no more and please evacuate him, guess what happened? We were approaching Belafondla and the Pakistani Bell helicopter was right on top of us. I could see the pilot's eyes and a pilot could see me. And he took a U-turn and they had lost the race. We are already sitting on top of Belafondla. So, moment we were sitting on top of Belafondla, now these helicopters of ours, which were ready for the second phase to take platoon to Siala, was now all set to take the platoon to Siala after 2 days. Now, Pakistanis were ready. Otherwise, you can't come so fast unless until you're already in Skardu.
That's right.
They were already in Skardu. They were all just waiting to come up. But just because we occupied Belafondla and Siala and subsequently Gyongla, that is where this is the Saltoro ridgeline. And Siachen is far away from there. And
Pakistanis don't see Siachen. I mean, that's the other myth that they
have
created.
to climb again. And
they have to come to Saltoro, which now they are not able to come.
Now they are not able to come.
Any counterattacks, etc., by Pakistan that you would like to dwell upon, or artillery shelling?
Yeah, see, the first thing is 13th of April that we went. Then April that we were there, I saw that first time I saw was a crow, a white crow. The moment I saw a crow, I reminded of 83 also I had seen a crow. So I said, if the crow has come, that means there is some human activity
Getting
taking
food
place.
somewhere.
Yeah, some activity is taking place. And sure enough, by 23rd of April, the Pakistanis were there, right in front of
They were
us.
trying to attack Belafond.
At Ali Branza.
Ali
And
Branza.
since they were there at Ali Branza, and then the first firing took place between the Pakistanis and us. But the first attack by Pakistan to dislodge us from Belafond was on the 23rd of June 1984. That in which we lost one boy, Chanchal, and two were injured, one in the arm, the other in the leg. Pakistanis lost a dozen plus of men, and they couldn't capture Belafond, obviously. And since then, all the attempts to occupy Belafond failed.
No, initial attempt when they made to
the 23rd of June.
What is the kind of strength that the Pakistanis?
See, Pakistani strength are about 40, 50. That's the only thing that you can come up.
That's the max.
And Chanchal, who was was in the patrol and as a sentry on that particular day, on the 23rd of June. 22nd of June in the evening, the Pakistanis did shell us.
Okay.
And I had this officer come to me just the evening previous, who later retired the DGMT, Avinash Lakshman Rao Chavan, Lieutenant General A.L. Chavan. And Shaukin Chauhan was also with me as a part.
Who later retired as DG Assam Rifles.
Yeah, he retired as the DG Assam Rifles. Both of them were there. And Avinash was with me. And on the 23rd of June, because of this particular thing that had happened, the first shot, when the Pakis saw that some activities had taken place, Chanchal informed the patrolling chap that Dushman. And the chap who was the patrol leader, he came and told me, Saab, Dushman. I said, Dushman? How come so early in the morning and from where? I hope you're not hallucinating. He said, nee, Chanchal has seen some black spots on the glacier. Some harkat is there. And that is where the whole thing.
Right, we'll switch over to you, Nitin, because this is, I'm going another 3 years into 87, Quaid post.
Correct.
And if you can tell us about the action, the SSG of the Pakistanis had occupied a post which was interfering with our logistics.
Yeah, it was called the Quaid-e-Azam Jinnah post.
Post, that's what I'm talking about. They were able to interfere with our helicopter flights.
That's right.
Now, and then we went about clearing the post.
So that,
tell us the story.
Yes, the Jackalai regiment was there. Bana Singh was the GSO. And Captain Rajiv was also the operation was in fact called Rajiv because they had lost the officer the previous day or 2 days before that. And that operation was one of the most daring and one of the most difficult operations because at that height, India went and recaptured that post, which is now renamed as Bana Post, which has been sort of renamed because then Subedar Bana Singh, later Honorary Captain Bana Singh, one of our 3 living Param Vir Chakra winners, he's there. So that was the most difficult because they climbed a steep peak or a steep mountainside and surprised the Pakistanis, and there was hand-to-hand combat at that height.
To what Nitin is saying, if this is Belafond, if this is the past, onto the western side is this wall where that fight took place, that Quaid-e-Azam, which later subsequently got renamed as Bana Post. Just see, it was on 23rd of June again, 1987.
87, after 4 years, after 3 years. Exactly after 3 years.
23rd of June, 1984. Again, 23rd of June, 1987. Why 23rd of June? 23rd June is the longest day. It is the longest day. So you can, as normally, you could carry on with that last flight till about 8:45 at night. You can see long distance till 8:45 at night is something which I could only see when you are in France or all. You have long days. So that is the...
This is one of the most significant operations at that height, and I think therefore that Chunilal also, Subedar Chunilal, Havaldar Chunilal, later who was one of the most decorated soldiers, was also part of that operation under Jackalai. This 9 Jackalai, who is now called the bravest of the brave battalion, one of the few battalions which calls bravest of the brave. So they actually recaptured that post and now it's been renamed Bana Singh. So several stories like that. But these are the first few stories of the first 4 years or 5 years.
I wish I had more time, we'd go through more stories. But then I guess we are a little
running
pressed
behind.
for time. So let's get on to logistics. And I just want to say a small comparison. How were you logistically? With, of course, whatever you received last minute. And how were you logistically today in the same area, in Siachen area?
See, I'll tell you, since I experienced it in 84, compared to the times then, yes, food, very good, excellent. You could have the finest of dry rations and everything from badam to kishmish to so you could name anything and everything from chocolates to everything, but not many people could eat. Unfortunately, you can't
Digest. You can't digest.
You can't digest. You just don't feel like
You don't have the
to eat it.
appetite.
Not at all. But it's there. Most of us, all of us rather, stayed in tents, pop tents in 84. So it was only a pop tent could accommodate only 2, max 3. That was the thing. Now you find that, of course, fiberglass huts have come, communication.
Heated tents.
Heated the thing.
There's a kerosene line
Snow
going up.
scooters are there, communication lines are there, you can speak on mobile, connectivity is there, lots of centrally heated fiberglass huts are there, kerosene pipelines are laid over there, helicopters, a whole lot of them. Of course, we also have to have a helicopter, all of the logistics. The Air Force must be credited with all of it for the kind of logistics that they
114 helicopter unit which does
because
this.
AeroP now, we have our own aviation. Those days, the AeroP and the Air Force were working in sync. Together. But now we have our own aviation. They are there. The Air Force is there. The B-17s are there. Your drops are there. The other, the ALH is there. The advanced light helicopters are there. So lots of things are happening and lot of activities. Plus administratively very well self-contained.
As Chief of Staff, he would have seen this difference because
so
he was there. He was there in 2013-14 as Chief of Staff. So 30 years later, you were there.
And he'd come again then.
When this book was launched in Ladakh, he was in Leh. He was the Chief of Staff that time. He had just
so
left.
I was lucky to see 1982, 83, 84 as a young captain and again as a Chief of Staff.
As Major General, he saw that.
Then I put the question to the right man. Somebody who has actually put that parka on.
Yes.
Twice.
Once as a Chief of Staff and once as a young captain. But one story I must tell you about logistics. You talked about improved logistics, rations, facilities, everything. So in 2013, when I went to research for this book, 6 months ahead of the 30th anniversary, Bihar regiment was deployed in thing there. And I asked one soldier who had just come down from the northern glacier, how is it there? So in chaste Hindi, he said, sir, बहुत बढ़िया है, वहाँ heated tents हैं, गर्म पानी भी मिलता है, खाने के लिए कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. एक ही चीज है, वहाँ पे ना चावल पकता नहीं है, 23 सीटियां लगानी पड़ती हैं. So he says, I can't eat rice because the pressure cooker doesn't work there because oxygen is low. Absolutely. And the soldier is so simple. All that he needs is that simple chawal he wants, dal chawal basically.
There's no logistics are fantastic. Those days, you'll be surprised, the Army Wives Welfare Association, the ladies had to, they used to write letters and they were only postal and all those letters were quite encouraging. They would be writing, Rakhis would be coming in, a whole lot of letter writing to the boys to keep their morale high. It was amazing the kind of support that would get, even matchboxes that would.
Whole system had got into it.
But let me tell you, sir, I have seen helicopters go inside the crevice, totally finished. I've seen helicopters
take off
and destroyed. I've seen helicopters repaired on the spot over there, all of it. So literally, it's not easy. I have once actually on top of Khardungla, which is over 18,000, I've seen in ALH. I could hear the pilot and the co-pilot talking as if it's just going to go any time and just about to save yourself. And you see, you're able to go to the clouds. It's not easy flying there. It's very difficult.
No, I'm sure it must be.
Weather is the biggest enemy.
Yeah, weather is the biggest enemy.
Very difficult.
Okay, one last question. One last question. Demilitarization. I think it was General Kiani who first really spread it. But he's the one who tossed it up. Most. What are your opinion on demilitarization? Let's start with Nathan.
Well, I don't think it's a feasible or practical suggestion because that is it serves the Pakistani interest, not Indian interest. Because ultimately, Siachen is a wedge between China on east of Siachen and Pakistan on west of Siachen. That is actually protecting the handshake between India's two adversaries, and therefore I don't think it's a practical suggestion.
What do you have to say?
See, you don't trust Pakistan. We cannot trust Pakistan because anybody who vacates Siachen, and right now we are in a dominating position, vacate, reoccupation of it will be virtually now impossible. We will lose lives. And knowing Pakistan, and that is why we wanted AGPL. We wanted them to say where their troops are. They are not
actual ground position line to be demarcated.
They are not wanting to say. Even if they do say so, like I go along with Nitin, Tibet is the water star. And the watchtower is Siachen now to the activities that are going on. So you don't want Chinese and Pakistanis to shake hands, even though they may have shaken in the Karakoram highway, comes right Kunjara Pass and passes through Gilgit, Baltistan and goes along with as part of the CPEC. But it's very essential that we continue to occupy. Firstly, we have gained confidence. And secondly, it is that confidence and the ability to acclimatize and stay on those altitudes helped us keep the Chinese away in Eastern Ladakh. Because it did not take any time for our troops, because everybody passes through. I think everyone in the Indian Army today, they have gone through that. So everybody knows how to live and survive.
Acclimatization.
17,000, 18,000,
Yeah,
19,000, 20,000. So that acclimatization, that confidence that the Indian troops have, having served on Siachen, I think that's a real asset there, and that gives that confidence to us. We should never vacate Siachen.
That I think we will call it off on that note. And thank you, General. Thank you so much for having spared your time for BharatShakti.in. Thank you. And thank you, Nitin.
Pleasure.
Thanks a lot for getting back to the family time and again. And I'll request
you very
both of
much.
you to keep doing so. Thank
We'll
you.
do that. Thank you very much.
And thank you, viewers. Thanks for tuning in to BharatShakti.in. Do tune in now and then, and you will find such interesting stories. Thank you.